Well, Heritage Day on this day, the 24th of September, recognizes and celebrates the cultural wealth of our nation. South Africans celebrate the day by remembering the cultural heritage of the many cultures that make up the population of South Africa. Various events are staged throughout the country to commemorate this day. While there are many debates around the value of preserving African languages on examination, it's clear that the benefits of doing so far outweigh the costs. Now, let's discuss this further. We're now joined via Zoom by Chairperson of the African Languages Association of Southern Africa, Dr. Elias Malete. Dr. Malete, thank you so much for joining us this Heritage Day. Happy Heritage Day to you. And can I ask, how do you celebrate Heritage Day?
Thank you very much for hosting me, and greetings to our viewers. Yes, we have gathered here as the African Languages Association of Southern Africa to look at various matters that affect our languages, but also celebrating our Heritage Day. And there are various speakers, of course, that have addressed various themes, including also the language in education, language or the human language technology, and all sorts of themes that affect our languages. So it is a very great day for us, and we hope that the celebration or continuous constant celebration of this of our languages, our culture, will also help to revive our spirit in these difficult times.
And so, Dr. Malete, you didn't answer my question. How do you celebrate Heritage Day?
Yes, we celebrate it in various ways. It can be by recognizing the way we dress, by also speaking our own languages, because the Heritage Day in actual fact includes our cultures, and culture includes our knowledge, includes the language, includes even the arts. So by dances, by music, by our attire, that is how we celebrate the African languages at the Heritage Day, but including also our languages because they are part of our culture.
All right, let's look at then this year's theme. How significant is it, that this year's Heritage Day celebrates the life and the brilliance of the late Solomon Linda, and in particular, the focus is on indigenous music in this country?
Yes, we know that we have a history where the Black people in South Africa have been alienated, marginalized, even including their own political freedom. So as a theme resonate with the Solomon Mahlangu as one of the youth that also died for the freedom of the South Africans, we think that that is very relevant in this heritage because he was representing everything about the African people, including the culture. As I've indicated earlier on, that culture includes our daily practices. It includes the history, it includes politics, it includes almost everything. So what Solomon Mahlangu and the youth have fought for really, it is to allow us to be able to express ourselves, to revive our identity, and also to determine our future. Because without celebrating, knowing where we come from, we can't be in a situation or a position where we'll be knowing where we are going. So the theme is very important to us.
And of course, Dr. Malete, I just want to correct, it is, of course, a Solomon Linda and not a Solomon Mahlangu. I know that we can make that mistake. But let's move on now. So you play a very key role in educating the value of, preserving African languages. Now, how would you say our government particularly has fared in ensuring that, preservation of our African languages, and also as South Africans, practically and also consistently, how can we also play a role in preserving our indigenous languages?
Yes, as I've indicated earlier on, that our languages have been marginalized for quite some time and could not participate in the creation of knowledge. And that led to also trembling on the rights of our local communities and made them present in their own history, the culture, and knowledge. But fortunately enough, we have mechanisms that can help us to preserve these languages. And one of the most important things that one can mention it is the existence of the language policies that we have, especially I will refer currently now to the current 2020 language policy framework that also identify two most important things about the preserving of the languages. The first, most important thing is that the language policy says the value of African languages should also be recognized as the languages that can also produce knowledge. But secondly, it is to promote the multilingualism through partnerships with other institutions as well. So in that regard, then we know that we have partnerships like the SADILA, which is the South African Center for Digital Language Resource, that is partnering with various universities for the preservation of these languages. But what is important also, it is the 21st century, really, it is about how can we preserve our languages in the digital platforms. That is very crucial for us. Most importantly, because our youth are more acclimatized to the use of platforms like Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, and so on. So also for the education to be successful, we need to have those, especially after the COVID-19, to have the online platforms available, but in the indigenous languages. So currently the challenge that we're having is that there's not enough data that the technicians and the linguists can use to create, necessary platform or softwares for the development and preservation of these languages. For us to be able to preserve these languages, we need to build what we call the corpus. In other words, to scan and change the text, the written text into computerized softwares. And most importantly, it is also to upload the text, the syntax or the grammatical rules, so that we are able to produce what we call the spell checkers. Currently, I think it is only isiZulu that is got the spell checker. So we need these other many languages to be able to have such spell checkers. Now, if we are very serious about the preserving of the African languages, it is really to make sure that they participate in the current discourses in various ways. Thank you.
And especially, just given the history, in terms of indigenous languages, the role that colonial and missionary period played on African literacy, what you are saying then becomes very important particularly when you look at the youth in this country. A lot of parents being concerned that the use of African indigenous languages is, being lost, and how best can they then start to, make sure that it is encouraged, particularly among our youth. And you mentioned the digital space and the digital platform. Where do you think we should start? Because it looks like the problem is significant if only isiZulu is catered for, on our digital platforms to encourage that use of language. Where then do you think that we should start?
That's a very good question. There are various ways in which we can begin to make our languages known and promote them in various platforms. I would just like to say, this morning we had an academic who made use of the TikTok material and shown us how he made use of that to teach the history and politics at one of the universities. So you can see that youth is already using such platforms. But on a serious note, we also need to work hand in hand with SADILA, which is, put into a position where it can help the institutions or academic institutions into developing these indigenous African languages. So the most important thing, it is to take the existing information in African languages, be it the poems, be it novels, any form of text that is available, then be changed into computerized platforms. And in that way, then, if we have that data, then it will be easier even for every student or every ordinary South African will be able to access the vocabulary in various languages. And as a result, even the academics, even the teachers at schools will be able, therefore, to source information in these African languages from the various platforms. We can even use the online platforms, for an example, even to analyze the text that we have. Because what is important, it is to know that to digitalize, it is to change the text into even the pictures, for an example, even the audio, visuals, for example, into the computerized platforms. So in that way, I would say it is the easiest, even though complex, way of beginning to put our languages into the national and global discourse.
Dr. Malete, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. That was Dr. Elias Malete, Chairperson of the African Languages Association of Southern Africa.